for a long while. Oh, here we go. And it's great to be in person here. But I'm just getting used to looking at the people and the screen and everything at the same time. So if my eyes are flying around all the while, that's the reason. Okay. So yeah, I'm really pleased to be here. This is really great. It's yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity. So I'm doing the whole night. So you're stuck with me for the next couple of hours. We've got a bit of a practice night. So let me lead you through what is happening tonight, okay? So we're going to be doing some meditation. We're going to be using the 4 reminders, reflecting on the 4 reminders. And then we will be going into break, and then we'll be having I'll talk about, I'll sort of reflect and bring the 4 reminders out into discussion. And then we're going to go into discussion groups. So in some ways, you all just need to sit back and relax and just let the night flow over you, really. And I'll sort of lead you all through it the best I can. So before we go and start the meditation, we're just going to sort of salute the shrine, do the refuges and precepts, and go from there. So just before I start, it's actually just a few points about the meditation. So we're going to be doing a metta bhavana, a very small metta bhavana, not too much, because I really want to go and do the reflection on these reminders in the meditation. So what I'll be doing with that is I will be dropping in some verses from the Pali Canon. And what I'd like to do is just sit and just listen to my voice. Let them just drop in, these verses. You don't need to do anything other than just listen to the words and just see what comes to mind. Just see how you feel about that. And we'll be doing that. There's 4 of them. So we'll be doing those in 5-minute stages. And then we'll go with a period of just sitting where we can just sit and relax and just let that bubble under and just see how I feel about that. So if we can salute the shrine, so if everyone could get in their positions and... Oh, I can stand, great. I've been told I can stand, which is excellent. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dhammaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Namo. Om. Hum. So we're going to go and do the refuges and precepts now. And we'll do that in call and response. Namo tassa. Bhagavato arahato. Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa. Bhagavato arahato. Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa. Bhagavato arahato. Samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Panatipata. Verenmi. Sekapadam. Samadhyami. Adinadana. Verenmi. Sekapadam. Samadhyami. Kamesu. Mechetra. Verenmi. Sekapadam. Samadhyami. Musavada. Verenmi. Sekapadam. Samadhyami. Suramaya. Maja. Hamadhatana. Verenmi. Sekapadam. Samadhyami. Sadhu. 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 With deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. With open-handed generosity, I purify my body. With stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. With truthful communication, I purify my speech. With mindfulness, clear and radiant, I purify my mind. If we can all settle down now for our postures for practice of meditation. So if we can just arrive, take a nice long breath, and just settle into our body. Just notice any tensions in your body, any tightness in your muscles, around your face, your chest, your back. And just breathe into that and just soften. And just notice the contact, you're seating on the floor, cushions or chair. Feel that weight, that gravity, that pull, and just relax into it, at ease. And we're just going to set our intention just to give ourselves space tonight to practice. Be open and receptive. And we're just going to have a very short sit on the first stage of the Metta Bhavana, where we're just going to bring that love and kindness to ourselves. And maybe even just give yourself a big smile. And we are worthy of this space and this time to practice. And we can just be gentle with ourselves. Feel the warmth around our chest, our heart. And just let that warmth permeate our body, spread around. So we just bring that stage of metta bhavana, love and kindness to ourselves, to a close, and just sit for a few moments and just relax, drop the practice as we prepare ourselves for the next meditation. Meditation on the four reminders. The contemplation of this precious opportunity. Do not long for the past. Do not yearn for the future. The past is left behind. The future is not yet reached. Instead, clearly see each moment as it arises. Strive to maintain this awareness, not faltering or wavering. Today, the effort must be made. Tomorrow, death may come. Who knows? No one can bargain with the Lord of Death and his mighty hordes. Whoever lives this ardently, diligent by day, by night, has, says the peaceful sage, truly had an auspicious day. the contemplation of impermanence and death. I and all beings am subject to old age. None are exempt from old age. I and all beings am subject to sickness. None are exempt from sickness. I and all beings am subject to death. None are exempt from death. I and all beings must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to us. The contemplation of karmic cause and effect. All beings are owners of our actions, heirs to our actions. Actions are the womb from which we all have sprung. All have actions as our relatives, actions as our protection. All will be heirs to of whatever action, good or bad, that what we do. the contemplation of the faults of samsara, gain and loss, honor and disgrace, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. These conditions that people meet are inconstant, impermanent, subject to change. Form is like a mass of foam, feeling like a water bubble. Perception is like a mirage. Volitions are like a plantain trunk, and consciousness is like a magic show. All conditioned, constructed things are impermanent. All conditioned, constructed things are unsatisfactory. All things, whatever, are empty of enduring self-nature. When one sees this with insight, one turns away from suffering. This is the way to purity. And just spend the next couple of minutes just sitting. Let all the practices just drop away and just sit in the space. Great. I'm going to pass on to Antia now for the Dharma appeal.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Jyotida. That was really lovely. I want to take us back in time. Let's go be some time traveling. Go back before medieval times, before the Roman times, before Christian times, to the Buddha times, and imagine that you're in a village in India, near a forest, and you're making a wheel, or you're making some patty breads, or you've got some rice, and out of the woods down the track comes a monk with a bowl. And I was imagining what that was like, to see a monk with a bowl coming out of a forest, and how magical that would be. And often we think of dana as like an appeal of please give me money, but actually it's more than that, because it's actually an opportunity for us to become our higher selves. It's an opportunity for us to practice our precepts. It's an opportunity for us to recognize our independence with each other. So thank you, Maggie. I hope you find the cat. So when you see the Dharma link appear, don't see it as a kind of like a begging for help. See it as an opportunity for you to become more than you are at the moment. That action makes you more than you are at the moment. And in giving, whether it's money or knowledge or time or experience, that giving is to enrich us all. So let me just, what I'll do is I'll just find the link, and I'll pop it in there in a couple of minutes. It hasn't appeared yet. So obviously the magic didn't work today. That's it. There we go. Look, you see, it is magic. It has appeared magically. So click on there and give what you can and take what you need. Thank you very much. Who shall I pass back to?
Me, if you want to, Anthony. Pass back
right,
to
Jyotida, I'm passing the ball back to you. Thank you.
Want to do that thing where we pass it along on screens there, you know, like a Zoom thing we do now, isn't it? There's loads of Zoom jokes. Thank you for that ball, Anthony. So, right, we're going to have a little break now.
That lady. I want to do the announcements. So I think the main thing this week is to encourage anybody who hasn't booked to book for the Sangha retreat, the weekend, 1st to the 3rd of October. Weekends together with Sangha, it's always a great way to spend time together, get to know each other more. You know, if you're fairly new to the Sangha or if you're an old hand, it is just a lovely way to have that bit more time together. You know, eating together, going out for walks, practicing together. Yeah, it's great. Plus there's a puja night this Friday night. And also the welcome sessions are happening. So for any people who've done an intro course on Zoom, there's opportunities on Tuesday evenings, and then in September, Fridays I think they are. So yeah, have a look on a website. There's those welcome sessions. And yeah, of course, there's my yoga sessions on a Monday and a Tuesday. So yeah, if you fancy trying it out, do get in touch. Monday's a little bit more active. Tuesdays is very much about supported resting postures. I very much want to support our meditation in a way to go deeper by working through the body and the breath and working on our emotions and, you know, working with that sense of receptivity that Jyotida brought out in the meditation. So yeah, if you want to know more, do get in touch. So I'll hand over to Jyotida. Hello all in the shrine room.
Thank you very much for that. So, let's get stuck in, shall we? We're going to be talking about the 4 reminders. So you had a taste of that in the meditation. So we're going to go into a bit more detail now and talk about that. So this is a practice that I've been doing over the past month or so. I've been, when I meditate in the morning, I've been bringing these reminders to mind. And I've had some reflections around that, so I want to share that with you. But in that time also, I've had a funeral and I saw a film. So those 2 things have added together. And it maybe not sound the same, but so I'll weave those into it as well. So the film it's a Chalamet film. I probably mispronounced that, but it was called Old. I'm not going to do a film review, so and maybe some spoilers though. Well, this film was set on a beach, and this beach was a strange old beach. What happened on this beach was that when you got there, every hour you was on there, you aged 7 years. So this beach, you started to get older. So these 7-year-olds were on there. They went around a corner, and then they came back an hour later, and there was 14. And their body and mind aged in that time. So when I came out afterwards, I had it was a pretty good film. But I was looking at the film and I thought, that is what life is like. That is what reality is like in some ways. That's more truth there, like life is a day on the beach, than we think it is. In the great cosmic perspective, we are just like that. So there's a few teachings from the Buddhist. One was like from the Diamond Sutra, where it talks about life is like a crash of lightning, like rain on grass, dew on grass. So this sort of impermanence is all around us. So what these reminders are a reflection on that. So for us to bring that to mind. So we're going to be sitting on that beach a bit. I'm going to go and visualize that beach. The reason why I want to do that is because we sort of forget, don't we? We kind of forget sometimes, we're practicing. Some days we think, oh, I'll do that today. No, I'll do it tomorrow. It'll be all right, I'll do it tomorrow. Or I'll do it next week, it'll be all right. And we seem to think we've got this sort of length of time ahead of us. And that's not reality. That's not reality at all. So if we bring these reminders to mind, we can actually start to confront that. And if we can visualize as being on this beach, and we'll be on this beach for a day. So we'll arrive there in the morning, we'll be on there for a day. By the end of the day, we're all dead. So this is a hard, we go here. The reason I did a bit of metta bhavana at the start of it, or tried to do, is try to bring a bit of positivity to this as well. So hopefully it's challenging this, but at the same time, I hope we can bring a bit of lightness to it as well. So what are these 4 reminders? So I'm going to trace the lineage back from these. So in terms of Bhante, Sangha, this would be on the spiritual death. So Bhante's system of practice, we would have integration, positive emotion, spiritual receptivity, spiritual death, and spiritual rebirth. So this is on the spiritual death, really. So this is where we're talking about insight. And this Bhante Sangha got this from the Tibetan teachings. So this is really strong in the Tibetan teachings. And this is from sort of Tisha, one of the great teachers, and Shankara as well. So these teachings come from that. And to go back even further, back to the Buddha, I'm going to draw some stuff out the Pali Canon as well. So some of the verses that I read out in the meditation, that's from the actual Buddha's words from the Pali Canon. So we can see this lineage of coming down from these teachings here, from Bhante right through to the Buddha. So why should we do this? Like I mentioned, this is a wake-up call for us. So this is a bit of a wake-up call. Sangha actually talks about, I'm going to read this out here so I don't paraphrase, comments that a person who has the basic acquaintance with the Buddhist teachings probably has all they need to travel a long way down the path. So even with basic teachings, we can go a long way down the path. But what we lack, he says, are the emotional equivalents of our intellectual understandings. One consequence is that we simply forget what we would believe to be true because we aren't, emotionally speaking, wholly convinced by it. It's easy to be aware, but it's hard to remember to be aware. So this is what we're going to try and do with these 4 reflections, is engage them emotionally. It was so easy to engage with these reflections on an intellectual level and just say, oh, of course, obviously, obviously impermanence, the problem with that is it's about as deep as a puddle. And for us to really, really connect, we need to connect with the emotion. Now, that is challenging because maybe when you're reflecting on these, it brings up some very emotional, challenging things. So there's a sense of stepping into the unknown here, challenging ourselves. But if we are going to practice, and if we are really going to make some movement in that, it's going to take us moving out of that comfort zone sometimes and to step into these areas. Another thing I sort of thought about this, at the time when the Buddha was doing these teachings, talking to people about impermanence and how life is, how lives are so short, he's talking to people that have lived a lot shorter than lifespan than us. Talking to people that, if they got a cut and an infection, they'd probably die. Probably talking to people that they lived in a lot more dangerous environment. But the Buddha still thought everyone needs reminding of this. So what would the Buddha think now coming here if he saw us living in extended lifetimes with security, with the freedoms we've got around us and the safety nets we've got around us? I think this teaching is just as important today as it was then, if not more so. So it's really good for that. So yeah, I'm going to take us onto this beach now. I'm going to do a little visualization of this beach that we're going to go on to. And like I say, this is going to try and turbocharge our reflections a little bit. So while we're on this beach, when we go through this, I'm going to ask you to go and try and imagine that you're on this beach and you've only got a day to live. Okay, so we'll try and work that out. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but in my head it seemed to work all right, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, this film I saw, it's quite a magical beach, this, so let's just try and visualize it. So just close your eyes for a second, just for a moment. So let's imagine this magical beach. This is not a lonely, solitary beach. We're all together on this beach. The sun is rising in the east in the clear blue sky. The sand is golden in colour and warm to the touch. The sand is fine and sifts through our fingers. The cliffs surrounding the beach are impossibly high, with jagged rocks jutting out. The sea is azure blue, deep and pure, glimmering in the morning sun. So just spend a moment imagining that beach and us arriving on that beach early in the morning. So, as we're on this beach, you can open your eyes now when you're ready. So on this beach, we've got to hear the first words and the first reminder. This is the contemplation of this precious opportunity. So I'm going to read the first verse out here. Do not long for the past. Do not yearn for the future. The past is left behind. The future is not yet reached. So there's something here about us yearning and longing for the past and the future, sort of an attachment to our past and our future, this craving and aversion that's fueled by that. And there's, yeah, this is something that we do in the moment. I mean, how often are we sort of thinking about what's happened in the past, things we possibly could have changed, or even just thinking, oh, how lovely that was in the past. I wish I could be back there again. How often do we think about the future? We're thinking, oh, I need to book a holiday. I need to do that. I need to do this tomorrow. And then when we think about that, how often do we add to that? Oh, so I need to do this. So, oh, if that happens, what I'm going to go and do. It's a never ending. It can just keep going and going and going and going. So what this verse is saying is that, you know, the past is left behind, the future is not reached. So we've got to kind of be more present. Now, this can get a bit confused, I think, sometimes with people going around saying, oh, we must live in the moment. Let's live in the moment. And they go around like a digital machine trying to record everything in their head. That's not awareness. Awareness is being fully embodied in the moment. That's everything. You're not a cartographer. You are literally embodied of everything. You're bringing it all in. And sometimes that may be reflecting on the past and bringing something out that happened in the past that makes you feel a certain way in that moment, which means that you can act with your volitions in a certain way or reflect, or they might bring some insight. Or it means you might have some sort of idea of something you want to do, or a place or something you want to do in the future. Again, what you do with that, you bring that to the present and what you want to do. So, for example, you could be sitting here and, I mean, this is one of my examples. I could be sitting there thinking, oh, I really could do with going on a retreat. Oh, I'd like to book a retreat. I'll have a look tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I'll do that next day. Or I could think, I need to book on a retreat. What do I do? Is sit down and book on a retreat. Just do it. Book on a retreat. Just go for it. There's a freedom in doing that and a release. And you've engaged in that energy of looking into the future, but bringing it into the present. And it's bringing something more of you into that. So, for example, this is a plug for I'm looking at the screen now because there's more people on there. If we're going to go to the Sangha retreat in the next few weeks, when is it? Beginning of October. You know, oh, that'd be really nice to do that, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'll go and book on that at some point. Yeah. Just book now. Just do it. Just drop it and just do it. So on to the next verse. Instead, clearly see each moment as it arises. Strive to maintain this awareness, not faltering or wavering. So we're talking here the precious opportunity. So we're on this beach, and we have got our bodies and mind, and they are working. We are really fortunate. Not everybody's minds work as clearly as our minds work. Some people suffer terribly with their bodies, and it allows them not to be able to go and practice very well, or to go and spend time practicing. Hopefully, most of us here have got the clarity of mind and the body that we allow us to practice. That is really precious. That is really precious. And it's something that it gives us a chance to live a meaningful life and live to our aspirations. Yeah. So today the effort must be made. Tomorrow death may come. Who knows? Big question mark. No one can bargain with the Lord of Death and his mighty hordes. I mean, I really dig this. It's part of me, but I really dig this one. It's as scary as anything. You know, the mighty hordes, the Lord of Death. It's really evocative language. But for me, again, it just brings back how this opportunity we've got. I mean, how lucky that we're just humans. That in itself, this world is full of life. It's full of all sorts of creatures. And we're humans. How lucky is that? If we go and take it into a sort of cosmological level, you know, how many planets are they inhabited like us? How much life is out there in the universe? I'm not saying there probably is life in the universe, but a lot of it's cold and empty. Again, how precious have we are that we are born human and we're in this point. And also, how precious we are in this surroundings at the moment, and we've got this period of sort of the environmentalism, you know, how our environment is. You know, we've just seen this week of sort of a foreboding of possible implications of the future. Again, we're in a situation where we've got freedom to practice in this country, freedom to be safe in some ways, and we've got the environment at the moment to work with that. That may not last. So again, a very precious time. So the last verse: whoever lives this ardently, diligent by day, by night, has, says the peaceful sage, truly an auspicious day. I love the peaceful sage. It's beautiful. It just makes my heart just melt. Yeah, so we're born at this time where spiritual life is possible. You know, we are talking like compassion, love and kindness. Again, we're in an environment where we can talk about that, and our cultural situation allows us to do that. And we know we're meeting the Dharma. So all of us are here, have met the Dharma. So that is a glorious opportunity, because it's given us something to meet the tool set for us to go and live to our higher ideals. Yeah, so we're open to the message of the Dharma, which is absolutely lovely. So again, just imagine that on the beach. You know, we're today on the beach together, and we've just got this wonderful opportunity to practice on this beach. The beach is lovely. There's nothing to stop us practicing, nothing at all. But we know it's not going to end. It's going to end. So best practice. So the next one, the contemplation of impermanence and death. So we're on this beach and we're all aging. Every hour we're getting 7 years older. We're all getting older. We can see visibly our friends, ourselves getting older. I and all beings are subject to old age, non-exempt from old age. I and all beings are subject to sickness, none are exempt from sickness. I and all beings are subject to death, none are exempt from death. I and all beings must be parted and separated from everyone, everything dear and agreeable to us. So there's something here about the university of death. We're all going to face that. And we can see people around us growing old. You know, every hour on the beach, we can see that. And even if we look on the beach, we may have seen people in the past there. We might see remains of people who've been on that beach before us in the sand. But this means that impermanence is change, is happening. It means we're not fixed. It means we can change for the better. This is the glory of independence, impermanence, independent impermanence. This is the glory of it. This is when we look at it with this positive emotion, not negative, not bringing ourselves down. That beauty of change, is there for us. And we all are changing all the while. But we can change to be something greater, bigger than us. And we're on the beach together. This is real crucial, I think. We're on the beach together, so our changes are not just self-orientated. We're affecting the whole beach and the people on the beach. So we can just sit on that beach and dwell calmly on that. Let that change just happen around us. And maybe these sort of truths will bring out some openness and may sort of let our hearts have some peace, maybe. And this is a sort of thinking of this. I went to a funeral, my auntie's funeral. So I'm just moving off the beach for a moment. I went to my auntie's funeral, and funerals are funny things, aren't they? Well, not funny. They're really, well, they can be. Depends what funeral, I suppose. I always tend to have little funeral at some point. But funerals, yeah, there's so many mixed emotions at a funeral, isn't there? You know, you're seeing, you're not in isolation, you're reflecting on yourself, on others, the family around that. And I remember standing outside the crematorium. It was a red hot day. And it was my auntie, so it was my dad's side of the family, the Melbournes. I don't see them often at all. I tend to just see them at funerals and weddings. But I stood outside, and they've quite an old school family, and all the men stood on one side and the women stood on another side. So I stood there with the men, and my auntie wanted us all not to wear black. So we was all wearing just normal clothes, which meant for my uncles, they was wearing shirts down to the belly button. And so I just stood with them, enjoying their company. And one of my uncles came up to me, and I've not seen him for about 10 years. And he says, "Oh, I've got terminal cancer." And he just told me, and I don't think he'd told anybody else yet, the family. I think he'd kept it a secret himself. But something about this funeral brought it out. He wanted just to mention it to me. And I went into the funeral, and my auntie Dorothy, it was just a little brief snapshot of her life. But that snapshot said more about her than the day-to-day conversations. There's something about their embodiment of life left a legacy, an imprint, an indelible imprint, which is basically she just loved family, and she laughed and chortled, and she never had a bad word to say to anybody. And I just felt it was a lovely, lovely moment to see that quality of that person's life. Even though didn't see her day to day, I saw her very regularly, but I really had a sense of her, but I also had a sense of the family, myself, and everybody in that space. And it was a positive experience. It left me open. I cried a bit, I smiled a bit. I was very rich with emotions. Not wholly unpleasant at all. And we came out of the funeral, and I was with my mother, so I went with my mum, and we went over to look at the flowers. So they had some flowers on the side there, and my mum went up to the flowers and went, "Oh, these are lovely. These are absolutely lovely, these flowers. They really, really touched me." And I said, "Mum, those aren't my Auntie Dot's flowers, they're someone else's." So she'd got the wrong flowers. So she went on to the next ones and said, "Oh, these." I went, "That says Grandad. That's definitely not my Auntie Dot, Mum." But there's something about, this crematorium that had people. There was all there. It wasn't just my Auntie Dot. There was so many people there. So yeah. So this is back to the beach now. Back to the beach. So the next one, the contemplation of karmic cause and effect. All beings are owners of our actions. Here's to our actions. Actions are the womb from which we have all sprung. I love that, the womb which we all sprung. Love that. All have actions as our relatives, actions as our protection. All will be heirs of whatever action, good or bad, that we do. So this is like kind of the bread and butter of our practice. All things arise on dependence and conditions. So we can't affect what happens to us in life, but we can influence our responses to it. And we can distinguish between skillful actions that are based on generosity, love, and wisdom, and unskillful ones that are based on greed, hatred, and delusion. The unskillful ones have negative consequences, obviously, or not obviously, but they can do, for others, ourselves and others. And I think now we're on the beach together, just imagine how our actions would have such huge consequences. We're just in this brief time together. What we do will have a massive effect. And we couldn't run away from it. You haven't got time to run away from it. We kind of think now we've got time to run away from our karma, I think, because, that didn't go so well, did it? It's all right, I'll do better next time. Which is, that's a positive thought. That's really positive. That's a really good volition, to look to try and improve ourselves. But how often then do we sort of forget, and probably our old habits creep back up again? We haven't got time to even have to face these habits, We have to challenge them directly. Can't be just sort of give them a little cuddle now and then and saying, "I'll look at you later. See you later, habit. I'll come to you later." There's something about this immediacy of time. We've got to face this and practice. And I always think there's a lovely scene in that film, what I'm basing this beach on. There was this couple. When they were landed on this beach, they was arguing. In fact, I think they wanted a divorce. I think they was having problems with the marriage, the relationship. And towards the end of the day, so we're talking like evening time now, as the sun was just starting to drop, they sat on the beach, and there was now approaching their 60s, 70s. And they looked at each other and said, what was we arguing about? And I went, I don't know. I can't remember. And there's something about that there for me, that our actions in the long scheme of things, they will have a massive effect on us in our life. But at the same time, these little things that we think are really important in the moment, in a great perspective of things, are just not important. They're really not. And there's a lovely line, I think, from the Dhammapada. Others do not realize that we are all heading for death. Those who do realize will compose their quarrels. So there's something about us keeping that in mind. Imagine how, on this beach, how could you imagine being angry on this beach? I mean, I couldn't. I can imagine just that I wouldn't have time to be angry. I would just think this is just waste emotion. All I want to be is just loving, really, because loving makes you feel good. Angry, you just feel like you haven't got time for that. So the question is, there's a lot of questions I'm asking you, and maybe we can pull this out in the groups when we finish this, is what would you do on the beach, knowing that at the end of the day you would die? I mean, I tend to think, I was thinking about this myself, what would I do? I think I'd jump in the sea. I'd love to experience the sea and just the beauty of the sea and the water and the sensation of that. I think I'd like to play in the sand a little bit. Just play in the sand and really play and enjoy the sand. But also, I think I'd like to meditate. I think I'd like to sit and get myself in preparation for the great mystery, because I don't know what's going to happen. And I want to be in the best state of mind. And just prepare myself for the inevitable. But we're not quite there yet. It's not the end of the night yet. Me and some people at the end of the night, because we're still at different ages. Some people are younger. I've got young Zach in front of me here. We're all different ages. So some of us may have gone by mid-morning. So I've just put myself in a kettle of fish there, haven't I? I've just got into the age on the beach. Yeah. Some of us might last longer on the beach than others. That's all I'm saying. So we've got to go back to the beach, and hopefully a few of us are alive still, so we can carry on this next bit. We're going to do the contemplation of the faults of samsara. So let me read this out for you. Gain and loss, honor and disgrace, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. These conditions that people meet are inconsistent, impermanent, and subject to change. Form is like a mass of foam, feeling like a water bubble. Perception is like a mirage. Volitions are like a plantain trunk. I love this bit. And consciousness is like a magic show. That's lovely, isn't it? Consciousness is like a magic show. Full of illusion, trickery, sleight of hand. And how often do we believe it? We take it as the thing, but it's not. All conditioned, constructed things are impermanent. All conditioned, constructed things are unsatisfactory. All things, whatever, are empty of enduring self-nature. So easy to try and intellectually go and get your head around that, isn't it? And you could sit there and you can study it and you can get your head around that. But can we emotionally feel that? That's something different. That's something different to feel that. When one sees with insight, one turns away from suffering. This is the way to purity. So, samsara, we're in samsara on this beach. And how are we going to, do we want to turn away from it? Do you want to turn away from it? Do we feel like those conditions around us are fixed, permanent? Do we feel like we can rely on them? I think with the previous reflections we've had, I think that's eroded that. I think you will now feel that unease around that. You wouldn't have the confidence in samsara. And I think that's for me, that's opening the doorway to something else other. And when you open that doorway to something else other, that's the area we want to be in, to try and explore. And if we start to see the suffering, the existence of the suffering, the pervasiveness of this suffering. You know, as we get older on the beach, we'll start to feel physical pain, probably. We'll probably even have that tension around having been attached to a life and having to let go of that life. It's like that couple was on the beach and they had that argument. You know, the next phase of what they said is that I don't want to leave this beach. I just want to stay here. How often can we be accepted of what our situation is without trying to want something else? And when we get there, we go, oh my goodness, I want something else more. And this state of suffering, you know, we feel it, this dukkha that's in there. You know, we may have been trying to scramble out over those rocks, that impossible high cliff, and clambered your fingers and cut your fingers trying to climb and get over the top off this beach. But there's a point where you may think, oh, it's just not going to happen. You know, I don't want to do that anymore. And it's like futile. So we might just see that this deep sense of attachments that we have has caused us to suffering. And maybe we can just look at the beach with our friends and look into the wide blue sea, the sea of sunsets, and just say, I'm happy on this beach. I don't need to escape, and have deep acceptance and gratitude. So yeah, we'll come off the beach now. So just to conclude before we go into the groups. Like I say, this is quite a challenging practice, to go and do this. And it's a practice that sort of develops, and you get deeper and deeper reflections around you when you do this practice. So some of the reflections I've had there and some of the things I've brought out will all have its own individual take on that, and that will change as we reflect more on these reminders. And there's something about going into that space, I think, because how often when we're bored out of our brains. With this thumb, we can destroy boredom. We can get on our phone and we can swipe and push. We can keep our brain going. Boredom doesn't need to exist anymore. We've got endless streams of Netflix, Amazon. Boredom can get out of town. We don't need it because we can just do something. Well, what happened if we couldn't do anything and we just sat with a space of boredom, utter boredom, mind-numbing boredom? Well, we couldn't stay in that space. We'd have to do something. And that space is where we can start to reflect more deeply on what it is to be human, what it means to have friends, what it means to love, and these things will come to the surface. So there's something about us creating that space, you know? I'd like to just reiterate again that if you're doing this practice and it starts to make you feel negative, anxious, depressed, go and concentrate on doing some positive emotion and some integration. If you feel in that way, the practice is not the right time to go and engage with that yet. So make sure you're feeling robust enough to engage some of these deep waters. And what you can do with this is just sort of bring this sort of curiosity. Yeah, and this is what happens when I reflect on this. It does make me curious, and I do feel quite creative afterwards. It does open up a creative space, and it's something that it makes me, when I sometimes think of this, that words are completely useless. There's something about the emotional content of this which has got a lot of power, and it's something about allowing myself deeply to go and feel these reflections on an emotional level. And I think it does allow me to motivate and inspire me to practice. It's a bit like I sometimes think that I've got this wonderful plant in the house that's slowly, I think I'm frozen on the screen here, brother. Oh, I'm not. I've got a picture of me in front of me, frozen, frowning, looking like a Klingon. It looks very weird. Ignore that picture of me on there like that. Where was I? I've got distracted. Where was I, man?
The plant.
Oh, my plant. Yes, my plant. Oh, I'm alive again now. So yeah, I've got this lovely plant in the house that continually moves towards the sun. You know, it's like, I want to go to the sun. Stop putting me in this dark corner, please. And I think that the more I reflect on this, the more I naturally, without having to think about it, move towards the sun. It has that energy behind it. So it's powerful. You know, this is powerful. So the simple truth of these reflections is I think it can, well, I don't think I know. It opens the door to reality itself. So it didn't get any bigger than that. The door to reality itself, these reflections. You don't need to, I think if you just stayed with these, it'll take you to the door of reality itself. And I'm going to end with this absolute humdinger of a quote. This is called the 3 terrible oaths. I just say the right, oaths sound like oaths and like, you know, like an oafish man, but no, oaths and like you made a commitment or something, I don't know. And this is from Dorje Trollo. Go get this. Hold on to your braces. Whatever happens, may it happen. Whichever way it goes, may it go that way. There is no purpose. There we go. If you want to go and hunt that image out, so it's spelled D-O-R-J-E, Dorje, Trollo, T-R-O-L-L-O, and you'll see some images online. And that's very evocative of that sort of, that phrase. You'll see that image, it's a beautiful image. Right, so shall we go into some discussion groups? Yeah? Find out what you're going to do on the beach. Thank you.